Picture this. I'm holding up what looks like a massive trophy fish with camera, trying my absolute best to hide the fact that, yes, I might be compensating for something. Now, before the comment section explodes, let me clear this up right away. No fish were harmed in the making of this video. Okay, that's not entirely true. The fish was harmed, but not for ego, not for macho points, and definitely not just for a photo. Also, that fish isn't actually huge. It's not even giant. It's slightly less than medium-sized, but it is a dog-tooth tuna, and that alone makes it one of the most legendary fish you can hunt with a spear gun, especially if you're into spearfishing, deep water hunting, and chasing fish that fight like they have something to prove. I joke around a lot, but the truth is I don't hunt fish to look tough, even though I'll admit I look pretty tough holding one. I hunt fish because not all fish are created equal, and the best fish are the ones that are both delicious and difficult to earn. Taste is the number one reason I hunt. If a fish isn't good to eat, it doesn't matter how exciting the fight was. But taste isn't the only factor. The challenge matters too. Humans are wired to love hunting, whether we admit it or not. Thousands of years ago, if you fail to hunt, you can just go hungry. You and your entire family starved. That pressure shaped us. Even today, when food is everywhere, the satisfaction of earning a meal through skill, patience, and effort hits something deep in our brains. Spearfishing takes breath control, discipline, accuracy, timing, and luck, but this story isn't about technique. It's about the fish themselves, and more specifically, how different fish rank when it comes to three things: how good they taste, how hard they are to find, and how hard they fight once you finally land the shot. Some fish are easy, some fish are elusive, and some fish are absolute savages once they're speared. Scrappiness matters. Power matters. There are fish that barely pull back, and then there are fish strong enough to drag floats underwater like they don't exist. You've seen it in movies like Jaws, where barrels get pulled under by a shark. That's not Hollywood magic. It happens in real life, just with modern spearfishing floats instead of yellow barrels. The goal is always food, but the battle to get that food is a huge part of what makes spearfishing so addictive. Before we go further, let's address the ethical side. If you think spearfishing is cruel, understand this. A fish caught by a spear experiences minutes of stress, not hours or days. Commercially caught fish are dragged in massive nets alongside dolphins, turtles, sharks, and whales, often suffering until they suffocate. With spearfishing, one fish is selected, one fish is taken, and it's dispatched as quickly and cleanly as possible. It's selective, sustainable, and personal. Now, back to the ranking. Let's start at the bottom with leather jackets. These fish are everywhere here in Indonesia. Sometimes there are so many of them in the water that it's hard to see past them to look for something better. They're not especially hard to catch. They don't fight much after being speared. And while they can taste decent if cooked properly, they're not something you'd choose over fresh salmon if you saw them on ice at a grocery store. They don't make great Instagram posts. Nobody brags about shooting a leather jacket, and for good reason. They're easy, they're weak, and they're just okay on the plate. Next up is the big-eyed bream, also known locally as moo. These fish are the complete opposite when it comes to elusiveness. They are incredibly wary, probably more cautious than almost any other fish in these waters. When I manage to spear one, it's usually from a long distance, and for every successful shot, there are dozens of misses. The reward, though, is worth it. Big-eyed bream are absolutely delicious, with firm, clean meat and teeth that weirdly resemble human teeth. Despite all that, they don't fight very hard. Sometimes they'll try to wedge themselves into coral or rocks, but most of the time the fight is short. So they rank high in taste, high in elusiveness, but low in scrappiness. Then there's the wahoo. If you ever eaten fresh wahoo sashimi, you know it's on another level. The flesh is incredibly soft, rich, and melts in your mouth. What makes wahoo interesting is that they're not especially shy. They'll often swim right up to you, giving you a false sense of confidence. The problem is that they're also one of the fastest fish in the ocean. Combine insane speed with delicate flesh, and you get heartbreak. Unless your shot is perfect, they tear off the spear and disappear in seconds. When you do land one cleanly, the fight is intense and chaotic. Wahoo aren't elusive, but they're powerful, fragile, and unforgiving. Wahoo often travel with mahi-mahi, also known as dolphin fish. Mahi are everywhere, easy to spot, and relatively easy to spear because of their wide, flat bodies. They don't fight very hard, although large ones are smarter and more cautious than the small ones. What they lack in difficulty, they make up for in flavor. Mahi-mahi is incredibly versatile. Ceviche, sushi, grilled, you name it. Not elusive, not scrappy, but absolutely something I buy without hesitation for dinner. Now we move into the fish that dominate YouTube thumbnails, attract millions of views, and somehow also attract hate comments. Giant trevally, or GTs, are often called dumb by spearfishers, myself included, but that's not really fair. These fish are apex predators. They don't fear much, which is why they'll swim straight toward a diver without hesitation. According to Blue Planet, they've even been filmed launching themselves out of water to snatch birds mid-air, which requires serious intelligence. Unfortunately for them, that confidence doesn't translate well around a loaded spear gun. GTs are not elusive at all, but they are unbelievably strong. Once speared, they fight with pure rage, wrapping lines around coral, rocks, and anything else they can find, often bending or breaking spears. Their meat isn't highly prized, but when prepared properly, it can be surprisingly good. Would I buy it at a grocery store? No. Would I hunt one again? Absolutely. Finally, we come to the dogtooth tuna. This is the final boss of reef spearfishing. I don't see these fish often. Conditions have to be perfect. Clear water, strong currents, and the right moment. When they do appear, they're cautious, powerful, and intimidating. Dogtooth tuna know how to keep their distance, especially if they sense excitement. And when you finally connect, all hell breaks loose. These fish are strong enough to drag multiple floats deep underwater like they're toys. I've watched lines snap, spears vanish, and fish disappear into blue forever. You can search dogtooth tuna spearfishing and find endless examples of just how brutal these fights are. The dogtooth tuna I held at the beginning of this video fought hard, but not hard enough to disappear. Right before my buddy placed a perfect backup shot, my camera died, but the outcome didn't change. The fish was landed cleanly, ethically, and respectfully. And yes, dogtooth tuna is one of the best tasting fish on the planet. You won't find it at Whole Foods. You won't find it in most markets anywhere in the world. If you want to eat dogtooth tuna, you have to earn it. And that's exactly what makes it taste so good.